few days before my wedding with Ethan Ford, I finally found out that he had a white moonlight in his heart. She had divorced and had a child, and the Ford family didn't accept her, so he casually decided to marry me. It didn't matter to him who he married. Once I gave birth to a child, I would file for divorce, and at that point, I would also be divorced with a kid, so no one would have anything to say. I stayed calm, turned around, and walked away without saying anything. I skipped our wedding and left behind a breakup video, which my best friend played publicly at the ceremony. I heard that the arrogant young master of the Ford family even offered an outrageous reward just to find his missing bride. Bookmark. A few days before the wedding, Ethan's friends came back to attend. When I went to discuss the wedding details with him, I overheard his conversation with them. One friend said, "Ethan, we all thought you were dead set on marrying Sophie Wayne. Didn't expect you to come around so soon. Be honest, have you really let her go?" Ethan took a long drag from his cigarette, slowly exhaled a ring of smoke, and a trace of sadness flashed in his eyes. "How could I let her go? I loved her for over 10 years. How could I possibly move on? She's branded into my heart. For the rest of my life, I never could." My blood froze instantly. My fiancé had a woman he'd loved for more than a decade, a woman he still couldn't let go of. This dog-blood plot was actually happening to me. A mix of emotions overwhelmed me. Seeing the loneliness in Ethan's eyes, I didn't know whether to feel sorry for him or for myself. Their casual conversation continued. "You and Sophie really had it tough. Always missing each other. Always bad timing. Fate really messes with people." A friend sighed and patted his shoulder. "But honestly, most people marry someone they don't love. Life still goes on. And your fiancée, I saw her. Good family, good looks. You're not losing anything by marrying her." Ethan leaned back lazily in his chair and glanced at the man. "You're satisfied too, right?" The man nodded. "Your family is satisfied too. Everyone's happy. Everyone except me." Ethan continued, "It doesn't matter to me who I marry. Once she gives birth, I'll file for divorce. Isn't it? Because they look down on Sophie for being divorced with a kid and think she's not good enough for me? When the time comes, I'll also be divorced with a kid. They won't have anything left to say." After that, he took another harsh drag, then crushed the cigarette butt forcefully into the ashtray. "I don't believe they'll still be able to stop us from being together then." He said all of this so matter-of-factly, without a trace of guilt toward me. Only unwavering devotion and deep affection for Sophie Wayne. Hearing everything, I felt a sharp needle pierce my heart. My strength drained, and I could only lean against the wall. My whole body turned cold. The happiness I had believed in was nothing more than a carefully woven trap. Ethan and I met through a blind date. I had just come back from studying abroad. His looks were exactly my type, and our backgrounds matched well. Both families were pleased. We quickly confirmed our relationship. We had officially dated for less than 6 months when he said he wanted to get married. He told me he thought I was beautiful and outstanding, and that he was afraid someone else might take me away, so he couldn't wait to marry me. I did like him and thought he felt the same way, so I accepted his proposal. We picked our wedding house together and decorated it together. I personally handled every detail in every corner. I imagined countless times the meals, the seasons, and the future we would share. Just last month, we had taken sweet wedding photos together. Just yesterday, our wedding photos came out. He couldn't wait to display our framed pictures in his office. Everything he showed on the surface looked perfect. I thought we shared the same goal, that we were two people walking hand in hand toward happiness. But now, his words were like a slap across my face. My heart ached so much I couldn't stop trembling, and I almost burst into tears. One of his friends sighed and said, "Honestly, your fiancée is pretty innocent in all this. She didn't do anything wrong. Don't you think you're going too far?" Another friend finally couldn't stand it and spoke up for me. "Yeah, man, this is too much." Ethan's lips curled into a mocking smile. He lifted his glass, took a sip, then slammed it down. "That's her fate. She deserves it." His voice carried so much resentment, I had no idea what I had ever done to offend him. All I did was meet him on a blind date, get chosen by his family, and coincidentally feel some attraction toward him. And in his eyes, that was enough to make me some terrible sinner. Hearing those words, I felt both devastated and furious. I clenched my fists so tightly that my nails dug into my skin without me even noticing. He pushed all the blame onto me, as if every bit of his unhappiness was caused by me. But what had I done wrong? One friend tried to lighten the conversation. "Ethan, don't say things so absolute. Who knows? Maybe you'll fall in love with her someday and won't want to leave." Ethan let out a cold scoff. "With her? Other than Sophie, I won't love any woman. And besides, to me, she's no different from a puppet." He crossed his legs and propped them up on the coffee table, leaning lazily back in his chair, irritation written all over his face. "Forget it, let's stop talking about her." Just then, his phone chimed. He picked it up, and his expression relaxed. "Sophie's coming back to attend my wedding. Her flight is tomorrow. Aren't you afraid your fiancé will find out about you too? What if she learns the truth?" "She won't. I've hidden it well. She's never suspected me. Sophie said she's never seen me as a groom before and doesn't want to miss any important moment of my life." "That's nice. I haven't seen her in a long time either. How long is she staying this time?" another friend asked. "She said it depends. Maybe she'll stay and never leave." "Well, Ethan, getting married and immediately having your lover by your side, lucky you." "I don't have a choice," Ethan said calmly. "If I could, I would have been with Sophie from youth to old age, but fate messed things up. As for other women, I have zero interest." Zero interest. And yet he pretended so well. "What if you can't get rid of her later? What if Ava refuses to divorce you?" a friend asked. "Refuses?" Ethan raised an eyebrow and gave a cold, sarcastic smile. His lips moved lightly, but his words sent me plunging into an icy abyss. "I have plenty of ways to make her divorce me. Ava cares a lot about her family and friends. I can easily control one of them, and she'll obey." His tone was cold and certain, as though he had already rehearsed 1,000 times how to deal with me, how to break me. "But you all have to keep this secret. Don't slip up. I don't want Sophie getting dragged into this or having her reputation damaged." My legs went weak. My whole body trembled uncontrollably. My tears fell like broken beads from a snapped string. I couldn't stop them, no matter how hard I tried. I wanted to rush in and tear him apart, but the last bit of rationality in me told me not to act impulsively. I leaned against the wall for a long time, and once I made up my mind, I wiped my tears, turned around, and left. When I got home, I immediately checked flights and booked a ticket and hotel abroad for the day of the wedding. After finishing everything, I collapsed onto the couch and thought back on every moment since we met. All of it had been sweet. He was cold and proud toward everyone else, yet toward me, he had always been gentle and considerate. I had told my friends countless times how lucky I was to find true love through a blind date. My social media was filled with posts about us, about our daily life together. Looking at those old captions now, all I felt was a bitter sense of irony. Because I had just posted our wedding photos yesterday, my profile had a surge of visitors. Among all the well wishes, one comment stood out. "Haha, the groom looks like he's being forced." The commenter's username was "Waiting for the Breeze." Some internet users who couldn't stand it replied to him, "What's wrong with you? Can't you let others be happy? They're clearly in love." Waiting for the Breeze responded, "Time will prove everything." The username looked familiar. He had commented on my posts and videos before, always with a strange, sarcastic tone. I never thought much of it. On the internet, you meet all kinds of people. As long as they weren't being outright offensive, I didn't want to make a fuss. But seeing how certain he sounded, and noticing his IP location, I suddenly had a vague suspicion. I opened his profile. He didn't have many posts, only 3 or 4, but one of them was a photo of a man carrying a child at an amusement park, taken from behind. The caption read, "Father and Son." The child lay on the man's shoulder, smiling brightly. With just one glance, I knew the man was Ethan Ford. In the comments, people praised them, saying that even from behind, the man looked tall and fit, and that men who looked that good while taking care of a kid were rare. He replied, "Thank you. He's always been a good dad." The post was from a year ago. Suddenly I remembered, Ethan had gone abroad for a week around that time. He told me he was going to look at a business opportunity. I had always given him plenty of space, so I didn't ask questions. When he came back, he officially brought up marriage. He said he thought of me every day while he was away and couldn't wait to marry me. I believed him. Now I realized the truth. The two of them had already planned it all. I was just their stepping stone. His latest post was about returning home soon, and he attached a photo of his plane ticket. Haven't been back in so long. I miss home. Can't wait. Followed by, I'm sure Ethan is excited too. Well, I'd like to see the look on their faces when the prey they think they've trapped suddenly turns the game around on them. I hope they can handle the gift I'm about to give. As usual, I posted a loving update. Looking forward to our happiness, along with a picture of me leaning sweetly against Ethan's chest. We looked like the perfect couple, beautiful and glowing. The moment I posted it, friends who knew us started sending their congratulations. Ava will definitely be the happiest bride. Ava and Ethan are such a perfect match. Congratulations to both of you. And, as expected, soon enough, Waiting for the Breeze left another comment. Getting married means happiness? Then why do so many people get divorced? Even through the screen I could feel his resentment. That unhappiness, good. He should be unsettled. I didn't respond to him. I skipped his comment and replied to my friend's blessings instead. Thank you. Make sure to come celebrate with us on the wedding day. Hee. I'll definitely be the most beautiful bride. I was scrolling through my phone when Ethan Ford came home, reeking of smoke and alcohol, clearly drunk. Seeing that I didn't respond to him, he took off his jacket and came over to hug me. Ava, we're getting married. I'm really happy. I had to admit, it was a shame he never became an actor. The deep, affectionate look he gave me was filled with tenderness. His dark eyes shimmered with starlight, impossible to resist. Anyone could drown in that gentle gaze. If I hadn't heard the conversation between him and his friends today, I would have truly believed he was happy because he was marrying me. I pulled my gaze back and forced a smile. Me too. If he wanted to act, then fine, I could act too. He slowly leaned down to kiss me, but I lifted my hand and blocked his lips. You smell awful. He lowered his head, sniffed his clothes, then tugged gently at my hand. His voice carried wounded innocence. It's just a little. You dislike me now? He always liked to act weak in front of me, obedient like a puppy, completely different from the cold, domineering CEO everyone else described. I had always thought I was his exception, his soft spot. I pulled my hand out of his grip and pushed him away. Go wash up first. He sighed, staggered a little, and stood up. Fine, since you don't like it, I'll go wash. After taking 2 steps, he turned around with a suddenly serious look. By the way, I have a friend coming back from the US tomorrow. She's coming just to attend my wedding. I need to pick her up and show her around. I didn't react, didn't even look up from my phone. Go ahead. She's a girl, he added quickly. I might need to accompany her a bit. It could take some time. I slowly lifted my head. He was watching me carefully, as if afraid of my reaction. I gave him a gentle smile. I know, old friends don't get to reunite often. You should spend time together. Seeing no change in my expression, he relaxed. My wife is so understanding. Love you, I smiled sweetly. Of course. The next morning, Ethan got up early, dressed neatly, and said he was so excited he couldn't sleep. He asked if I wanted to go with him to pick up his friend. I swallowed my disgust and shook my head. Everyone says the wedding day is exhausting. I need to rest today, so I'll look good tomorrow. After he left, I quickly packed a suitcase, gathered all my important documents and valuables, and boxed up the rest of my personal belongings. I called a courier service and had everything delivered to my best friend Grace Chen's apartment. When I finished, I dialed the number of Ethan's longtime rival, Nathan Cole. He answered, Ava? What do you want from me? Aren't you and Ethan getting married? What kind of trick are you two playing? I'm not falling for it. But you still picked up, I said calmly. Nathan, I'm short on time, so I'll get straight to the point. I can give you the information you want, but I need your help. When you say you want to run away from the wedding early tomorrow morning, Nathan Cole narrowed his eyes, studying me. Fine, but can I know why? Do you know Sophie Wayne? I asked. He nodded. I get it. So even you know, I let out a bitter laugh. Turns out everyone knew except me. I was the only idiot. He looked at me for a moment, exhaled a slow ring of smoke, and finally said, All right, I'll trust you this once. Let's go over tomorrow's route. An hour later, I handed him a folder of information. He walked me out. Ms. Lin, I hope this cooperation goes smoothly. Since Ethan left early that morning, he hadn't contacted me once. I texted him, pretending to check if he had made arrangements for his friend. He didn't reply until late that evening. I'm still out showing her around. She hasn't been back in a long time, and she's curious about everything. Baby, I miss you. I really want to see you right now. As I typed my reply, come home early, drive safely, you need to pick me up in the morning. My hands were shaking so hard I almost dropped my phone. Because right then, I saw him on the surveillance feed, unlocking the front door. And Sophie Wayne wrapped her arms around him from behind. He was literally texting me while cuddling with her. Our wedding house was a large villa, and for safety, we had surveillance installed. He knew that, but he still brought Sophie home. He knew I had never doubted him, so he acted without restraint, walking her straight into the house as if it already belonged to them. I switched back to the HomeGuard app. On the screen, he and Sophie were kissing. There was even a child nearby. Even though I had mentally prepared myself, seeing them holding each other still made my chest feel like it was being torn apart. I grabbed my shirt over my heart and curled up on the bed, staring at the screen as huge silent tears fell down my face. They kissed from the doorway all the way to the sofa, clinging to each other like they couldn't bear to part. A wave of dizziness and nausea hit me. My stomach churned violently. I ran to the bathroom and vomited over and over until only bile came out. My mouth tasted bitter before I finally stopped. I washed up a little, returned to the bedroom, and recorded a VCR. I edited in the footage of Ethan and Sophie making out. The next morning at dawn, Ethan arrived to pick me up, dark circles under his eyes. Grace Chen, my maid of honor, took one look at him and joked, "Ethan, why do you look so worn out this early? Did you do something naughty last night? Or were you too excited to sleep?" "I was thinking about the wedding." He rubbed his temples and forced a smile. I kept imagining the moment I'd finally greet my bride. How could I sleep? He acted perfectly natural, not a trace of guilt showing. Well, after acting with me for more than a year, his performance was flawless by now. "Baby, I'm so happy," he said, kneeling in front of me as he took my foot gently into his hands. "You're finally becoming my bride." He lovingly helped me put on my wedding shoes. Friends and family around us showered us with compliments, praising our love story, envying our fairy tale relationship. "Ava really picked the right man. Look how gentle the vice president is. Ethan has always adored Ava. Ava, teach us how to win over a CEO like that." Ethan stood up, grabbed my hand, and said with a warm smile, "I fell in love with Ava at first sight. It was fate. Not something anyone else can imitate." I smiled brightly on the outside, but inside, everything was dead and silent. Neither Grace Chen nor I exposed him. We quietly watched him perform and cooperated as best we could. "I'm very happy too," I said. "Ethan, being able to marry you is truly a blessing for me." Amid everyone's congratulations, I followed him into the wedding car. Inside, I finally couldn't help asking, "Ethan Ford, do you really want to marry me?" His gaze flickered for a split second before he quickly recovered, meeting my eyes with a firm expression. "Ava, of course. You're the girl I wanted to marry the moment I saw you." I sneered inwardly. Sure, love at first sight. More like he spotted the perfect stepping stone. I had originally planned to give him one last chance. If he showed even a hint of remorse, I would have stopped everything. I had only given Nathan Cole half of the documents. The critical information was in the other half. But when I looked into Ethan's eyes, all I saw was more lies. "Ava, I don't know why, but suddenly I feel a little panicked," he said, pressing a hand to his chest. "My heart feels empty." I patted his hand. "Maybe you just didn't rest well." All morning, I went through every wedding procedure flawlessly. When we received guests at the hotel, Sophie Wayne arrived wearing a long white dress, holding her son's hand. "Hi, I'm Sophie," she said with a smile. "I've been friends with Ethan for years. You two are so busy with the wedding, and yet I made him stay with me all day yesterday. You're not upset, are you?" It sounded like an apology, but it was pure bragging. I glanced at the kiss mark on Ethan's neck, then chuckled lightly. How could I be upset? I never restrict his movements. You're an old friend. When you come back, even if you were a dog, I'd still let Ethan take you out for a walk. I don't usually go out of my way to disgust people. but being well-mannered doesn't mean I can't be. The smile on Sophie's face froze instantly. She looked lost, then turned to Ethan for help like a panicked child. Ethan stared at me in confusion. After all, the image he always had of me was gentle, educated, gracious, never foul-mouthed. Grace immediately chimed in with a bright laugh. Exactly, Ethan. If you're so free, why don't you walk my dog next time? He keeps tearing up my house. Ethan clearly didn't want a scene today. His face looked like he'd swallowed dirt, but he still nodded stiffly. Then he wrapped an arm around my waist and whispered into my ear, "Baby, what's going on with you today?" "Nothing," I said with a calm smile. "I'm just showing my enthusiasm, treating people and dogs equally." He frowned, studying me carefully, unable to tell whether I was angry or not. Sophie let out a dramatic sigh. "Ethan, I knew it. You kept me company all day yesterday, and now Miss Lynn is upset." Grace couldn't stand it anymore. "Upset? Why wouldn't she be upset? You dragged the groom around the whole day before the wedding, and now you're acting like it's something worth bragging about." "That's not what I meant," Sophie hurried to explain, looking pitiful. "I've been away for 2 years, and I'm not used to anything here anymore. Ethan and I grew up together. I didn't think too much about it." "Right," Grace said, unamused. "With how advanced technology is, Miss Thethet Wayne spent 2 years abroad and suddenly forgot how to use all the apps here." Grace was a straightforward, tough girl. Sophie's type was exactly the kind she hated most. I stepped aside slightly. "Please come in. There are other guests behind you." I didn't want to argue with him at this moment. If something delayed the schedule, it wouldn't be worth it. "Daddy, who is she?" Liam, Sophie's son, had been distracted by the balloon decorations at the hotel entrance. After he finished playing and caught up, he saw Ethan holding me. His expression instantly changed as he pointed at me and asked loudly. Everyone around us turned to look, shocked. Sophie gave me a casual smile. "Ethan spoils Liam too much. They're very close. He's used to calling him that. Don't take it to heart." She said it lightly, as if I only had one option: accept it. "Ava, Liam is very cute. I've taken care of him often before. Don't mind what kids say," Ethan added gently. He stepped forward and picked Liam up. "Did you miss Daddy?" "I did. Don't be with that woman. Mommy said she's a bad woman." Liam pouted and pointed at me. Ethan coaxed him gently, completely unaware that he was exposing the truth. "Liam, be good. Today we're playing a game, so we still have to be together today, okay? No getting angry." Liam shook his head hard. "No, Mommy said anyone who takes Daddy away is a bad woman." "Ava, don't be upset," Ethan said quickly, guilt flashing across his face. "He's just a child. Kids say whatever comes to mind." I widened my eyes and put on an expression of confusion. "Liam calls you Daddy? Then, does he not actually have a father?" "Miss Wayne, what about Liam's biological father?" Grace asked, nearly bursting into laughter. "The kid probably isn't Ethan's, right? They don't look alike at all." "Oh, this is interesting," Grace continued. "Most ill-mannered kids just pee in public. But yours? He's out here assigning random dads. Impressive." "Grace, shut up," Ethan snapped, his face darkening. Grace scoffed. "Why? You love pretending to be a daddy so much? Or is it because you can't have kids of your own?" Ethan's mother approached, noticing the commotion. She shot Sophie a sharp glare, then whispered something into Ethan's ear. His expression eased a bit before he turned to Sophie. "Sophie, take Liam in first." Several groomsmen who knew Sophie stepped forward and escorted her inside with the child. Once they were gone, Ethan hurried to explain to me, "Ava, Liam really isn't my child. Back then, Sophie, I know, they don't look alike at all." I cut him off coldly. I had already investigated their situation. I didn't need to hear more lies. That finally settled the embarrassing scene. The Ford family was wealthy and well-connected. All the guests who arrived were powerful, influential people. Almost everyone who mattered was there. Even Nathan Cole came. When Ethan saw him, he froze. "Nathan, what are you doing here?" Nathan gave him a lazy smirk. "What else? I'm here to congratulate you on your happy wedding." "You should leave," Ethan stepped in front of him. "You're not welcome here." Nathan raised an eyebrow. "You're really that petty? I came out of kindness to congratulate you, and this is how you treat me?" Completely unbothered, Nathan kept smiling. He glanced at me. "So this is the bride? Gorgeous." He pulled out his phone and held it up to me. "Miss, wanna add me on WeChat?" Ethan's face instantly turned black. He shoved an arm in front of me. Get lost. Stay away from my wife. Oh, relax, Nathan chuckled. I just thought she looked friendly and wanted to make a friend. Why are you so worked up? Nathan Cole shook his head, sighed, then motioned to his assistant. His assistant walked over and handed me a box. Inside was a full set of diamond jewelry. It was a bit rushed, Nathan said casually. Just a little something for my dear sister-in-law to play with. The two of them had accumulated resentment for years. Seeing Nathan intentionally show kindness to me, Ethan finally couldn't hold it in anymore. My wife likes something. I'll buy it for her myself. Why do I feel like you have to compete with me over everything? You just want to disgust me, don't you? This is just my first meeting gift for my sister-in-law, Nathan replied innocently. Why are you so worked up? These are beautiful, Grace chimed in happily. I'll hold on to them for Ava. She took the jewelry box from Nathan's assistant with a grin. Ethan's eyes were practically spitting fire. All guests are welcome today. Ethan, it's your wedding day, stop scowling, Ethan's mother said as she approached with a forced smile. She gently pushed Ethan aside and gestured politely to Nathan. Nathan, you're here too. Welcome, welcome, please come in. Nathan laughed pleasantly, handing her a red envelope. Hello, ma'am. Just a small token of appreciation. Congratulations on Ethan marrying such a good wife. Then he walked straight past Ethan, leisurely, confidently, toward the banquet hall, while Ethan glared after him. By 11:30, all the guests had arrived, and I finally had a moment to breathe. Grace supported me as we went inside a room to change into my wedding gown. The schedule allowed only 15 minutes. I removed my welcoming dress and heels, changing into casual clothes. I put on a baseball cap, pulling the brim low to cover half my face. My wedding gown and floral headpiece were already placed on a mannequin in the room. The mannequin faced away from the door. At a glance from behind, it looked like a real person. Ethan said I was just a puppet. Fine. Let him pick up a puppet then. After packing my belongings, I pulled out a flash drive from my purse and handed it to Grace. I'm counting on you for the rest. Don't worry. I can barely hold myself back, Grace said, patting her chest. Today, I'm tearing the masks off that disgusting cheating couple. She opened the door, peeked outside, then signaled that the hallway was clear. I lowered my cap further and slipped out, heading toward the stairwell. In the underground garage of the Grand Harbor Hotel, Nathan's assistant Leo was already waiting with a black Rolls-Royce Cullinan. Miss Lynn, please get in. I've already brought your suitcase. I'll take you to the airport now. Thank you, I said quietly. The car started, pulling smoothly out of the garage. The wedding ceremony had officially begun. Even from outside, I could hear the MC's emotional speech. Amusingly, the opening lines he was reading, I wrote them myself. I had spent countless nights drafting, revising, polishing every word. I had planned this wedding for a full year, believing it would be the start of our love story. Who would have thought it would become such a tragic ending? Thank you, Ethan Ford, for giving me nothing but empty joy. Now, I don't want you anymore. And the big gift I'm about to give you, I hope you enjoy it. I sent the pre-written text message to my parents, informing them that I was calling off the wedding and asking them not to make a scene yet. Then I blocked Ethan and all of his close friends. Leo pressed the accelerator and the car sped toward the airport. 30 minutes later, we arrived. Nathan Cole's private jet was already waiting there. The commercial tickets were sold out because I had bought mine too late. By noon today, all the direct flights from Capital City to Gold Mountain had already been sold out. Any other time slot carried the risk of Ethan stopping me, since his influence in Capital City was overwhelming. So I bought a ticket departing from Hong Kong, where Ethan's reach wasn't as strong. Only Nathan's private jet could get me out of Capital City fast enough. Right before boarding, I handed a document to Leo. This is the second half of the information I promised. Please send my regards to Mr. Cole and thank him for his help. As I stepped onto the plane, I heard chaos outside, someone shouting about looking for a person. I lowered my cap further and quickly boarded. When the plane began taxiing and slowly lifted off the ground, I stared at the clouds outside the window and finally breathed a long sigh of relief. I pulled out my phone and saw countless missed calls and messages. The photographer I hired, someone close to me, had secretly recorded the scene after I left the hotel and sent the footage to me. In the video, Ethan stood on stage smiling, confidently calling out, "Please welcome the bride." But after several minutes, nothing happened. This was supposed to be the moment when my father escorted me into the banquet hall and placed my hand into the groom's, but the bride never appeared. "Where's the bride?" People in the audience whispered restlessly. Ethan frowned, glancing around, checking the time. "Someone go take a look?" A guest murmured. Just when everyone was getting anxious, Grace Chen, dressed in a pink bridesmaid gown, walked out. "Grace, where's Ava?" Ethan immediately rushed toward her. Grace grabbed the microphone from the MC. "Before the ceremony starts, Ava has a video she wants everyone to watch." She pressed a remote. The huge LED screen behind them lit up and began playing the video of Ethan and Sophie Wayne kissing in our wedding house living room. Their faces and expressions were clearly visible. Gasps filled the room as everyone stared at the screen in disbelief. Ethan finally reacted. "Turn it off," he roared, lunging toward Grace to grab the remote. Grace simply flung it over the railing, sending it crashing down to the floor below. Then my pre-recorded voice came through the speakers. "Everyone, I'm sorry to make you witness this joke. I never expected that on the day before my wedding, my fiancé Ethan Ford would bring another woman into our marital home to fool around. I only learned today that he's marrying me just to appease his parents and cover up his secret affair with Miss Sophie Wayne. Since you two are so deeply in love, I will step aside and let you have each other. Please stay together, and don't ruin anyone else's life. This wedding is off. Ethan Ford, you're filthy and disgusting. I don't want you anymore." The final image was my swollen, tear-stained face, pale and devastated. My voice was hoarse, filled with heartbreak and despair. No, Ava, it's not like that," Ethan cried, his face turning ashen. He bolted out of the banquet hall and sprinted toward the bridal room, while his assistants scrambled to shut down the screen. The video switched to live footage as Ethan reached the bridal suite. He pounded on the door wildly. "Ava, please, let's talk. This is a misunderstanding." Again and again, no response. "Ava, open the door. Please let me explain." Finally, a hotel staff member arrived with a key and opened the door. Everyone gasped. Inside stood the figure of a bride in a wedding dress, her back facing them. "Ava?" Ethan reached out and grabbed her arm. A sharp crack sounded. The bride collapsed to the floor, and only then did everyone realize it was a mannequin. "Ava Lynn," Ethan spat through clenched teeth, staring at the fake bride on the floor. "You're really something." Ethan Ford kicked the mannequin viciously, his face dark as iron. Then he turned and shouted to the people behind him. "Go to the airport. Bring Ava Lynn back to me, no matter what." On social media, news and gossip about Ethan, me, and Sophie Wayne flooded every platform. #runaway bride, Ethan Ford, Sophie Wayne, all three dominated the top trending topics. Ethan became the laughingstock of the entire capital city. Nearly 30 years old, yet in front of countless guests, his grandfather beat him more than a dozen times with a wooden stick. He was covered in blood by the end. After being beaten, Ethan still stood up in front of all the reporters and announced, "Please help me find my fiancée, Ava Lynn. Whoever provides solid information will receive 100 million. Whoever brings her back will receive 1 billion. The media erupted instantly. The entire internet started searching for someone named Ava Lynn. Fortunately, on the way to the airport, I had already set all my social media photos and videos to private. My family came from a scholarly background, not a public-facing one, so there wasn't much online about me. Netizens only found a few pictures. Even Grace joked, "Ava, once you get on the plane, should I send Ethan your location? I could use that 100 million. Meanwhile, Sophie was kicked out publicly by the Ford family. Her reputation was completely ruined. People dug up all her past affairs with Ethan. "I know this woman," someone online wrote. "She always chased rich men. We were classmates in high school. Back then, she flirted with Ethan while secretly hooking up with Jacob Jiang." Ethan's family never approved of her, never gave him any power, and eventually sent her overseas. Then, she schemed against Jacob Jiang, got pregnant, and forced a marriage. They divorced within a year. The Jiang family didn't even acknowledge the kid. Probably because the child isn't even a Jiang. Who knows whose kid it is? So now the real question, whose child is Liam? Maybe even she doesn't know. I also heard she went to a socialite training school, then cast a wide net among wealthy men. Why do you think she came back to the country? In New York, she got exposed for hooking up with a married man. Couldn't stay there, so she returned to scam Ethan, the perfect fool. So Ethan is blind? How could he fall for a woman like her? He's just stupid. Or maybe her manipulative skills are top tier. After arriving in Hong Kong, I smoothly boarded a flight to San Francisco. I did both my undergrad and master's in California. I originally planned to stay in the Bay Area to start a business, but my parents urged me to return home for blind dates, so I postponed everything. Now, I finally had time to pursue what I loved. Online discussions grew more and more intense. I heard that whenever Sophie walked down the street, people pointed fingers at her. That's the woman Ethan brought to the wedding house, right? Who's your kid's father? We're all curious. After I left, Ethan supposedly did not look for Sophie. Whether due to pressure from the Ford family or something else, they did not end up together. Sophie went to the Ford residence again, but she was kicked out before she even stepped inside. She became like a rat on the street. She couldn't stay in Capital City, couldn't return to the US, and finally fled to some tiny foreign country with very few Chinese immigrants, just to hide. Later, Ford Corporation and Cole Group competed for a central plot of land in Capital City. Cole Group won by a narrow margin. Nathan Cole successfully secured the property. Because of everything that happened, Ethan Ford was punished again by his family. His grandfather directly demoted him to a subsidiary company for retraining. Later, Nathan Cole asked what gift I wanted as thanks for my help. I thought for a moment but declined his generosity. I knew he had helped push the exposure of Sophie Wayne's secrets, and Ethan's collapse was also partly due to him. Those were exactly the results I wanted. When I chose to cooperate with him, it was only to escape the wedding and take my revenge. And now, both goals had been achieved. In a small city in the South Bay, I rented an office, pulled in 2 former classmates, and together we founded an intelligent robotics company, A-Robot. Over the years, I kept a low profile. I only stayed in contact with my family and a few friends, never appearing on social media again. 3 years later, our company successfully went public on the NYSE. On the day of the IPO, I appeared in front of the media as the founder and accepted interviews. Soon, new netizens suddenly noticed that the owner of A-Robot looked exactly like that runaway bride from 3 years ago, Ava Lynn. The next morning at dawn, someone knocked on my door. It was Ethan Ford. Ava Lynn, you really know how to hide. So Mr. Ford, I crossed my arms, are you here to drag me back home? I waved my hand, and a row of robots behind me activated, stepping forward in formation. Back then in Capital City, Ethan had the power to control everything. My family only had influence in the education field, nothing that could compare to the Ford family. That imbalance made him believe he could manipulate me however he wanted. But now, I no longer feared him. Now I had power of my own. Heh. Ethan let out a self-deprecating laugh, face filled with sorrow. 3 years have passed, and you still treat me like your enemy. Ava, do you hate me that much? His eyes turned red as he spoke softly. If I told you I've been searching for you for the past 3 years, thinking about you every single day, would you give me another chance? I already knew he had been looking for me, but from the very start, our relationship had been a mistake. It was built on his selfish intentions and deception. How could I forgive that? It's true, he said. At first I thought I could just marry anyone casually, wait until we had a child, then divorce and marry Sophie. But from beginning to end, everything I did with you, I did willingly. Being with you made me happy every day. I was truly joyful about marrying you. He took a shaky breath. Before you, I had been on many blind dates. Some women even made the first move, not caring that I had someone else outside. I rejected all of them. I didn't like any of them. My obsession ruined me. And ruined what we had. When I was younger, I kept missing the girl I couldn't forget. I thought that was true love. But when you left, I realized just how wrong I had been. His voice cracked. Ava, you're the only one in my heart now. Can you give me one more chance? Can we start over? I shook my head. No, Ethan, there is no going back. You hurt me, and I already took my revenge. We're even. If we see each other again, we can nod politely like acquaintances, that's all. I can't, he whispered. I'm sorry, Ava. I want to forget you. But these past 3 years, I haven't gone a single day without thinking of you." He moved as if to hug me, but the robots immediately formed a barrier, blocking him completely. He couldn't even touch my sleeve. "Go home, Ethan. There's no us anymore." He looked at me, defeated, standing there until I closed the door. Only then did he turn away and leave in silence. Once, I had loved him with all my heart. I still remember the excitement of being with him. He gave me love and destroyed my ability to believe in it. But I still believe real love exists in this world. It just won't be the center of my life anymore. My future will be bright, just without him. Ethan Ford, extra chapter. Sophie Wayne was the obsession of my youth, but we kept missing each other again and again. My family elders held all the power and never agreed to let me marry her. When I first walked into that phase of my life, someone gave me a lousy idea: just find any woman, have a kid, become a divorced single dad, and then your family will finally let you marry whoever you want. I thought about it, and it made sense in its own twisted way. So I started agreeing to the blind dates my family arranged. But no matter how many women I met, none of them made me want to get closer. I kept thinking, at the very least, I should choose someone I don't dislike. After all, I'd still have to spend a few years with that person. Even if it was all an act, I still needed someone I could tolerate. Then I met Ava Lynn. She had just graduated and returned to the country. She had a quiet, refined aura, gentle, composed, clean. The moment I saw her, something in my heart settled. I knew she was the one, and reality proved I had chosen well. Her emotions were steady. She trusted everything I said without question. Being with her felt effortless, comforting, even. To be honest, I genuinely enjoyed being around her. There were moments when I thought, if Sophie Wayne didn't exist, maybe I could just be with Ava. But Sophie had taken root in my heart for so many years that no one else could fit in. I felt guilty, but I told myself that if I gave Ava enough money in the future, everything would balance out. She was gentle, soft-hearted. She could never cause me trouble. The day before the wedding, Sophie returned to the country. She said she wanted to see the wedding house, and I agreed. Inside, we kissed passionately. But the entire time, Ava's face kept flashing in my mind. I couldn't explain it. My heart refused to calm. Halfway through, I stopped and found an excuse to send Sophie and her son away. That night, I lay awake until dawn, restless and uneasy. In the wedding car the next morning, Ava turned to me and asked quietly, "Ethan Ford, do you truly want to marry me?" Her eyes were so serious that guilt stabbed through me. But I still nodded firmly. I had never rejected the idea of marrying her. The closer we got to the ceremony, the stronger my bad feeling grew. But every time I looked at Ava's face, she looked perfectly normal, calm, gentle, as always. Until the moment the bride was supposed to enter. She never appeared. Ava ran away. Panic exploded inside me. I searched everywhere. Nothing. When I rushed back to the wedding house, I found every one of her belongings gone. It felt like someone had ripped out a piece of my heart. Without Ava, that house felt like a cage closing in on me. I investigated the past few days and discovered she had been at the club on the night I invited a friend there, but she never came to see me. That night, my friends had teased me, asking why I suddenly agreed to marry someone else, since they all knew about my past with Sophie. I couldn't explain it. Maybe I was too stubborn, too proud to admit what I truly felt. I said a lot of things that hurt Ava, and the moment the words left my mouth, regret twisted inside me. Back then, I didn't realize I had already fallen in love with her. She must have heard everything I said. That was why she left, with such finality. I wanted to find her immediately, explain, beg for forgiveness. I would rather she yelled at me, hit me, anything but vanishing silently from my world. But she left completely, thoroughly, no trace. I searched in every corner, and finally, in the backyard, I found a flower bed, the one Ava had planted with her own hands. Little seedlings everywhere. Each day after she left, I watered them carefully, imagining that when she returned, we could sit together in the garden, admiring the moon, the flowers, the life we could have had. But even when every flower eventually bloomed, she never came back. I was the one who had personally lost her. Sophie contacted me a few times afterward, but my heart stayed still, neither love nor hate. I simply told my assistant to handle her. The obsession of my youth finally dissolved like dust in the wind. The next time I heard about Ava Lynn was years later. She was the CEO of a listed tech company. I still went to find her. I hoped desperately that she might give me another chance. She looked at me calmly. She was no longer the woman who once had eyes only for me. She told me herself we were over. After that, all I could do was quietly follow her through the media. She lived a wonderful life. Brilliant, accomplished, radiant. A life that no longer included me. The end.